Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is Funny Wine Girl, aka Janine Luby, and I am super excited because it's a serial guest tonight who is back. It's been a couple months, and I thought we were long overdue. I say we, like there's always like somebody in my pocket or a mouse or something. Although the house, I do have mice in this house. I haven't found any yet, but I did. Oh, actually, funny story before I even introduced. I don't know if it's funny actually. I was out kayaking maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. We came home. I was with my friend Robert, and normally I'm used to mice, the evidence of mice, not to be gross, but you know what you find after mice, they leave their little droppings. I've had mice through the years. We came home and there was an actual mouse in the kitchen. I'm not used to them being out. Like I just imagine them only being out when I'm sleeping, like they're doing what they're doing, their lives while I'm sleeping. We came home and it was only like 5:30 p.m., maybe 6 o'clock, and it was in the corner of the kitchen. I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. Anyway, he got it out, put it in the yard, and that was the end of the story. And yeah, so I started off by saying, oh yeah, there's no mouse in my pocket, and there are mice in the cellar though. So anyway, with that lovely opening, I am excited to have one of my favorite guests of all times. And I think a lot of you feel the same way. It is the comedian, the children's performer, the public speaker, the mental health advocate who visited Scranton in May and who might be back next time in 2024. It's Gab Bonesso, everyone. Hello, Gab.
Hi, Janine. Thanks for having me back. I love coming on your podcast.
Well, thank you. Have you ever had a mouse in your house?
As a kid, yes, at the house I grew up in, we had mice several times, and that's what made my parents relent and get us a cat. And my cat was like not the normal cat. He was insane, Janine. Like, and I can say that because I've been diagnosed insane. He was a murderer. Like he took on the Italianness of the Bonesso family, and he like murdered every animal. I mean, bunnies, birdies, crows, snakes. I mean, it was just a killing field. Every morning I'd have to go and like get all the animals and throw them in the woods. It was awful. But yes, it started with mice, and we brought a serial killer cat into the family, and he killed a cat at one point. He killed a neighbor's cat because
Oh
my
my
cat had a signature. He'd eat the heads. And his family was crying. They're like, our cat's dead. His head's gone. We're like, oh, Pritzy.
Oh no. I was just going to ask, did he ever leave a mouse head in your bed or anything like that? Or apparently he left a cat's
Just the
head in somebody's
bodies.
bed.
Yeah, just the bodies. He liked the heads were delicatessen for Pritzy. Yeah.
Well, and I guess it's common, and we won't spend too much time on this, but I guess it's common to have mice. I mean, we live right next to an area that's wooded, so you get field mice. And, once they get in and they find a warm place, hey, they're loving it. And so through the years, I've had issues and I've had the traps out. And last year we had some, and well, I don't know if I've ever shared this on the air or not, so I might as well. This one's even funnier than coming home to find one. So it was February. I had a comedy show that night. It went really well. So I was excited. And it's like, I think it was the next morning. I don't even think it was the middle of the night, but I go to the bathroom, and not to give too much information, but it was just pee. And I'm looking in the toilet and I see something that looks like it's not pee. It's darker and it looks like something else. And I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't poop. And then it started moving. And
Oh
I
no.
flushed the toilet. And I do think, and I'm sorry if anyone from PETA is listening, I didn't mean to murder it, but I do believe it was a mouse. And let me tell you, to this day, you want to talk about trauma. And I don't want to make this like traumatic or sound dramatic, over dramatic, I should say. I still freak out now. Like in the middle of the night, I make sure the toilet seat is down so that every time if I get up in the middle of the night, that because I was worried. I thought it came up through the sewer. So here's me thinking some kind of like horror story, monster story, like a big monster mouse that's like 700 pounds. But someone else said, well, maybe he was just in your house and he fell in the toilet. But like, I didn't want to think about the idea that there's a mouse on my second floor because in my brain, I'm like, well, they can't get up the stairs, but they can. So
Yeah.
yeah, I won't spend too much more time on that. But I still, to this day, when I look in the toilet, because that kind of freaked me out.
Oh my God. If that happened to me once, I'd never have yeah, no, that totally checks out. You learned your lesson, and now you'll never leave the toilet lid up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
once
And
had a snake. Well, twice I've had snakes in my house, like my old when I grew up. And the one time, Ginny, I came home from it's kind of like you came home from a comedy show. I was really excited because I had lived there with my mom and I took care of her. Pull into the garage. I don't just find a snake, Janine. I found a snake suspended in a spider web.
oh no.
Yeah, I mean, Janine, you have to imagine you've met me, you know how I am, so you can imagine I was not even react. I mean, I because in my brain the spider is like from it, right? I'm like, this what? How does a spider catch a snake? But then it was at the beginning of like TikTok, so I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get a TikTok video and go viral. So I get really close to it because I want to get them like, you're not gonna believe what I found. And as soon as I get up to the web, the snake starts thrashing through my iPhone, cracked the screen, ran up, hid under covers. Like it took days for me to like remove the whole situation. I never found the spider, but yeah.
Yeah, I would freak. We have little, well, they're like garter snakes, so they're like, yeah, 12 inches, 14 inches. We have those out by the front yard here, like, but if I saw one in the house, I absolutely, and honestly, what you read about them is they're for the most part not that
Oh
harmful,
yeah.
and they're afraid of you or whatever. But like, I would freak if that was in the house. I mean, you get me a large insect and I'm like freaking out, and I'm even afraid the mice are not that harmful, other than they might have some germs, but like, I still freak out if I see it in the house because I'm like, it doesn't belong in the house.
Exactly. It's stand your ground law. So PETA, back off. If I need to kill a snake or a mouse, I'm doing it. And I'm not gonna feel bad about it. It's the law.
And honestly, we got rid of it. Okay, one more mouse not joke, but one more mouse story, and then I will stop. But to that point, I'm fine with if I've used the kind that kill them, the traps. I'm sorry, because if they're here and they reproduce and you have a nest, it's not fun and they can
Right.
damage stuff. But there was not last summer, I want to say maybe a year or two ago, I had the kind that I don't know, I think it was whatever my dad gave me, he bought. They are considered the humane kind because they're the kind where you put something in it and they get in there and it closes the lid, and they're supposed to be, they call them catch and release, I guess. So you're supposed to release them. So I had them and they worked, and I'd come downstairs and I'd be like, all right. And I know it's kind of gross, but you could feel the box and the heat in the box from their little
Oh,
bodies. And you're like, yep, there's one in there. Alive, alive. They didn't die overnight. But those little mother effers, I would take them out to the field next to my house. And I guess I'm not too smart. So I open it up and there they are. They're in there and they look at me and then they run. They ran right back under the porch to my house. Like, see you later, motherfucker. Like they
yeah,
were
like I'm
going
going
right
home.
back. They're like, okay, thanks for the disruption, but I'm heading right back to my little bunker down. Ran right back in the house. So then I caught a couple more, and here I am walking up the street to release them a whole block or two. I really should have given them a ticket to Jersey and
Yeah.
been done with it all, but I didn't. Okay, that is my last mouse story. I had no intention of talking about mice tonight. So,
Well, you said something that now I think I may have mentioned to you in like a DM, but Janine, you know I fell in love with Jersey this summer, right? Like I'm a changed person. Like
you
I want to
said
live
that.
there. My dream is a comedy club in on the beach in Jersey. Like that is it. That's done. I'm retiring in Jersey. Done. Love it.
Oh
Love it.
boy. Oh boy. Can I ask you? I know you did message, you said that. Had you not been
No.
to Jersey at all, or to not to the shore
Well,
before?
I'd never been to the shore. I'd been to parts of New Jersey. Like Josh and I did a library in Haddonfield at one point. And have I ever been there for anything? I may have stopped in Jersey on my way to New York. Never gone to the shore. Like people in Pittsburgh, I hate to say this, made fun of it. So it'd be like, they're going to the Jersey Shore. Like it's a joke. Like the Jersey Shore is a joke in Pittsburgh. Like, we go to OBX. We go to,
Oh, pardon
like
me.
Bethany Beach only. Like that's where Pittsburgh is. You see there all their little tags in the car. And my family, we never had money, man. Like we took one vacation. It was the Erie, Lake Erie, 1 hour from our house. So I'm like, no, I wouldn't know this world. To find out there's a beach 5.5 hours from my house, I was like, I think they lied to us. Like, I think people are like, yeah, Jersey sucks. Don't go there, to keep it to themselves. Also, it's all Italian people. So for me, it's like, this is great. I get the ocean, I get good pasta. The water ice is phenomenal. Like, here we don't have that. We don't have water ice. We have snow cones. They're gross. They don't take, my sister and I had 3 water ice a day, huge ones. Loved it. I'm going back. I'm
You
moving
should
there.
be from Philadelphia. They love their water ice too.
I do love Philly. I gotta say, Philly people, I vibe with them. I just vibe with, and their team colors are green, and that's my favorite color. Black and gold, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you there. So you'll appreciate this. So the Jersey Shore is a place. So from Scranton, it's like 3 hours, but you could even probably get 3.5. You could maybe get to a place 2.5, but like 3.5, 4, depending on where you're going on the shore. When I was a kid, we would go to Wildwood. What Wildwood Crest was more the family part, but it was all very similar. And we'd go there, and it was the boardwalk and the funnel cake and ice cream and all that good stuff. So this year, it was like the weekend of my birthday, actually. So it was Labor Day weekend. I went Thursday to Saturday with my good friend Kristen, and we went down there. And I have to say, like, some of the same motels are there. The Yankee Clipper, the Gold Crest. I'm like a kid, like, oh my God, that's still there. A lot of the places are still there. A lot of it's new, but we went to this pizza place. My friend wanted to go. I didn't care, whatever. So she's like, no, we have to go to this certain pizza place on the boardwalk. We go there, we get a slice, we sit down. They had this contraption. I'm like, what the hell is that? It was like a tube of pasta sauce or like of red sauce that they would use to like put on the pizza shells. And it was coming up from, I don't know where it was coming up from, but it was like this tube that the sauce was infused through so that they could put it, because they go through so much sauce. Oh, we were cracking up like, oh, check out that tube of sauce. That's interesting.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, we went to Ocean Grove, which my sister, so I find the vacation, long story short, we were supposed to like have the whole first week of August. I get booked for a mental health gig in Williamsport. So and it's like, it was the day that we were supposed to leave for our vacation. I'm like, oh crap. And we were going to go to Rehoboth. So I'm like, what can I swing so I can do this gig, make this money, and we still get our trip? And it was like, oh my God, Williamsport. Well, Jersey's only like 3.5 hours away. Let's do that. So I find this place. It's in Ocean Grove, New Jersey, which is a very Christian town. No bars, no alcohol is served there. It was a Methodist only town where people lived in tents. It was a tent community town. They're well known. They were in the news. They got a new dock 3 years ago, and it's in the shape of a cross. It's
Oh
awesome. I love
my.
it. So for me, I'm like, Rose, we don't party. Like, we're not partiers. We want to go where people are going to be chill and reading their Bibles and not bothering us. We also hate when people are like, turn the beach into like, hey, babe, we're like, that's not us. We're just like, we want the sun, water, ice, go into the ocean. That's it. We're very chill people. So she's like, you know what? This might work. She's like, the only thing is you can't start conversations about Jesus with people. Like she's like, you have to promise me that now. Like you cannot. I can't. I'm like, all right, I promise. I won't say that we're religious. I won't say anything. It'll be fine. But Asbury Park was right next to it. So it was 1 mile, our boardwalk connected to Asbury. So we could go to a real boardwalk, have, see the real people that aren't, just like praying the whole time. Not that they're not real people. You know what I mean, Janine.
Yeah, yeah.
It was great. And I loved Asbury. Like Tilly, the whole thing. That's where I want my comedy club in Asbury. But yeah, love
So
it.
I've never been to Asbury Park. I will say I have not. I've obviously heard a lot about it, and I think of Bruce Springsteen, but I've never been there. Although I have to kind of figure that most boardwalk towns are very similar. They have the same features. But yeah, I've never been there. But yeah, you did say that you loved it, so I was like, yeah, she got hooked this summer.
I did. Like I just very few places I just like truly Scranton is one. Scranton is one where I keep telling people like, if I move to Scranton, then I'm closer to Jersey. I don't know. Like this could maybe Scranton's the next move to get me towards Jersey. Then I get to Philly. Then I get to, it's like I segue my way. I'm like a little traveler. I'm a little Columbus, breaking my way across the around the earth. Have we let us talk about him anymore? Anyway, point
I
is,
know. I was just like, oh yeah, we don't talk about him anymore.
I know we're not. It's so, and I like try to tell people about this because like you have to understand. I try to say this like, olden days, we did things differently. I literally went to a high school where while I'm a student in high school, I know that 4 of my teachers married students, right? So like that's just something I know at my high school. That's called the 90s. Things were different back then. But anyway, my mom, every Columbus season, we would put Italian flags all over our house in the yard. She did it the same in June. She put pride flags. But my point is, like, we were progressive and then not all at once. It was really, yeah. I look back and I'm just like, oh my God, we would have been canceled. My family would have been burned for our stupid Italian flags. We were just proud. We were stupid and proud.
Stupid and proud. It's all right. You know what? So, and we're going to go there. I don't care. So, you just brought up something that's on my mind. So I'm going to bring it up. Have you ever seen the movie Love Actually?
Yeah.
Do you like it? And I don't mean to say it like that. Do you like? But what are your? Let me put it this way. What are your thoughts on it?
I feel like when it came out, like that Christmas, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I've really never watched it again. Or when it's on, I'm sort of like, it's not really
Okay.
like it's not one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Okay. So it's yeah, I mean, I get when it was first out, I was the same way, like, oh, and I even liked it enough to buy the DVD. I did have the DVD. So it's on Netflix now, and I watched it a couple weekends ago. I watched it again, and I think I might have watched it again a couple years ago. But I love the opening sequence, and I saw it on YouTube and I thought it was the end, but it's the opening. And it does, maybe it's because with my hormones, my perimenopausal hormones, I cry more easily because before I didn't. But it's Hugh Grant's voice, and it shows people hugging at the airport. And the voiceover I just love because it talks about like how we're so cynical in these times. And this was done in like 2003. So it was after 9/11, and it references that, where it's like, people say that we're, more or less always just divided, which now, God, if they did the movie now, we're so much more divided. But, more or less the point was more or less like people say that there's hate in the world, and everyone's like, and they're like, but look around an airport, Heathrow Airport. And it's like, I don't see that at all. And it's saying, and the part that gives me chills is the part where he says something like, when you listen to the calls that were made from that airplane in 9/11, not one were messages of hate. And it makes me want to cry now because every message was of love. And so that opening, it might be schmaltzy, but I love it. And it just like kind of like makes me like kind of smile or whatever. So I get curious about movies. So I like look up who's in the movie and all this stuff. So after I watched it like last week or the week before, I'm looking it up, and apparently it's on the no playlist, the no fly zone, so to speak, about being canceled for a variety of reasons. And I'm
Oh,
just like, so it just makes me, it's
why?
one of those things.
I didn't know it was canceled.
Well, let me tell you why. So, well, the one thing I do have a problem with, and I think that's what I did look up at first, the actress. So the one actress who works for, I guess he was playing the prime minister, Hugh Grant's character.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous, very pretty, but she was referred to by her family as Plumpy. And I mean, she's a gorgeous, beautiful woman, and not like, oh, a pretty face, but big. She's not big. Like
Right.
I look at her and like, okay, she's not scrawny, but she's by no means fat. And like, so her family calls her Plumpy, and like someone else references her as big. And Hugh Grant's character says to another person who works there, another woman, oh yeah, she's got like a big wide ass or something like that. And it's like, huh? So I did look up that because I was curious about the real actress. And of course, they were like, well, I guess at the time, more or less, she could pass as bigger, but like she wasn't big at all. So that I do take kind of issue with or umbrage. But, and I mean, let's face it, how many movies do this all the time? Like slap some glasses on somebody and it's like, oh, it's the ugly duckling. Yeah.
Right.
She,
It's the
she takes
nerd.
the
Yeah.
glasses off and it's like, you're gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, there's so much stupidity. But, so besides the plumpy part, there's so much hate online about this movie. I'm like, come on, what the fuck? Because I'm like, and yes, I'm gonna curse because it was in 2003. Are we literally gonna go back and look at every movie and say what was wrong with it? Because guess what? It was done then. It wasn't done in the age of today. And are there parts of it that are like maybe tone deaf or whatever words we want to use? Sure. But like some of it's over the top. Like the one character, he's like, he doesn't do well with women in the UK. So he goes to America and he knows,
Oh yeah,
and
I
I'm one
remember
of
that
these
character.
people,
Yeah.
like, I love a British accent. So he does well, but it's like saying how, I don't know how bad that is. And I'm like, how bad that is. He goes to a bar and these three women are like, how you want to come home with us? I see they're empowered taking him
Yeah.
home. He's not harassing them, assaulting them, abusing them. What is wrong with that? And so anyway, that's something I actually wanted to talk about with Oliver the other day, but I forgot to ask him because it just irks me because it's like if we're going to do this with every single piece of art or not music we don't typically, but with or maybe we do with lyrics, but with movies. Come on. Really? And
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know if you have
And
anything to say about that, but that's just what I'm saying.
well, no, I do. It really does concern me because I mean, I don't know if I've ever. Oh, I mean, you probably can tell from my back wall. Like I grew up on Turner Classic Movies, so my favorite movies are literally from like the 30s and 40s, where lots of problematic behavior, but never once when I was a little kid watching a scene, I would say so. Like I remember very clearly in like Judy Garland movies. And it's horrible, and they shouldn't have done it, but these blackface vaudeville numbers, right? And I would turn to my mother and go, Mommy, why is she putting like shoe polish on her face? She was like, so this was this like really horrible thing that they did during vaud. And then my mother would explain the historical problem behind it. When you start saying, no, just never show TCM again and don't show the movies, then we can't have these conversations. How are kids supposed to learn? No, 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 you do not put that on your face. We don't do that. And this is why you have to see it. Also, within fiction and creativity, if we can't start tackling hard subjects, even in the, you might not like, or the viewer may not like how it was displayed, these things still happen in the world. Like, as much as we want a perfect world where everyone is safe and there is no trauma and people aren't, I'm sorry, I've been called not skinny. Me, I think I'm pretty darn fit. You know what I mean? And people
You
are like,
are.
she's not skinny. Little Gabby, someone once said about me that she's not little. So that's the real world. So like, I don't think it does anyone a service by being like, la, 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 this didn't happen, so take it out of art. It's like, no, 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 no. Art shows us the horrible of life and the beauty of life. And if you take that away, what do we have? Because like, a lot of current art doesn't really float my boat. So, if you're going to start taking away all the old art, we're going to be real screwed. Like, when they wanted to ruin JD Salinger. Don't read JD Salinger. Salinger's a monster. Okay. Salinger might be a monster, but those books changed my effing life. Sorry. Catcher in the Rye was the first time I read a book and I'm like, there's people who think like me. People who are utterly miserable in their self and their life and they think about death all the time. Oh my God, I can relate to this character. I hate everybody, but I hate myself more. I relate to this character. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we invalidate other people's experiences. You like Love Actually? Well, you're a bad person if you like it. I am. I love this one line that changed my life. Fuck you. You know what I mean? You get to that point where you're just like, enough. And a
Yeah.
lot of these vocal people are 22 years old and they like haven't even figured out who they are yet. And they're going to tell you what you should watch. So
Yeah.
there's that too. I don't like to invalidate the children, but come on, guys, please.
Yeah. Well, when I Googled that, because I was irritated that she was being called plump and I just had to look her up. But then it brought up all of these within the past year, these recent articles just killing the movie, bashing how wrong it was. And like the one part they're even comparing, I swear, like almost to like rape or something. I'm like, what? Because I mean, there's like, it's all love stories and some of it's just, yeah, is some of it possibly like machismo or whatever? Yeah, and that doesn't exist. That's still part of movies, and I'm not saying it's okay, but it's just like some of it, yeah, okay, but other parts of it, like like really valid, like Emma Thompson's with Alan Rickman.
Oh my
He
God.
buys the
That's why I can't
expense.
watch it. It's too much for me. That's too
But
much.
I mean, that's very much happening. Don't tell me
Oh
there
yeah.
aren't men out there in marriages who are flirtatious with their coworker, whether it's an underling, subordinate or not, and whether they act on it or not, buying them expensive jewelry while the woman flirts with them. You're telling me that doesn't happen anymore? Oh, what? So we don't put it in a movie? Like for me, that was just a very still relevant and modern, and it because it happens, and her reaction to it, like, oh, and I think they were criticizing that she stayed. That was it. Cause like they
Oh my
show you
God.
when he comes back from a trip or whatever. Oh, okay. So it's like what, it's Hillary all over again. Let's kill her because she stood by her man. Well, I think there was a lot at stake there. And she's a pretty freaking smart woman, smarter than me. I know that much, smarter than a lot of people I know, men and women. So it's just, I don't know. I'm just riled up about that. So it's just like, I just had to share that. And then I also want to share along those lines because this is something I like what you said about like, oh, you like that movie, how terrible. That's how I feel sometimes. Like when a lot of this stuff is coming out, like with Kevin Spacey and all these different actors, like it's like, and you have to watch, I guess, who you have conversations with because you'll get that like, no, you can't like him or you can't like his movies. And I have trouble with that. And I mean, it's like, no, I have trouble with that kind of thinking because House of Cards, amazing show. His performances were outstanding. Do I have to like him as an individual? I didn't know about his life beforehand. It doesn't mean I approve of his behavior now, but I'm sure as hell not going to say he's not a good actor, but like it's just, it gets
And what
very
about every
icky.
other actor in that show? You're not going to watch that show so they can get the residual streaming and they don't deserve you know what I mean? Like that's the other part. Like so one bad egg and then every actor gets like what
Yeah,
about their show? Yeah.
exactly. Well, I heard someone recently talk about this and I was like, yes, Bob Odenkirk. who's an actor and a comedian. And,
I was
I
a big
actually,
Mr. Show fan. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't watch that. And I didn't watch, I'll admit, I'm one of the probably few people left on the planet who has never seen, oh my gosh, the Bryan Cranston,
Oh, Breaking Bad.
Walter.
I've never seen it either.
Never seen it.
It's
And
fun.
then it's the Better Call Saul. And of course, he's on that. I only know him from smaller roles, honestly. Like he actually did try out for the same part as for Michael Scott on The Office. He tried out that for that
Oh,
role.
wow.
He didn't get it, but he later turns up in later seasons in Philadelphia in one episode where Pam is like, oh my God, he's like Michael, and he's her interviewing her. So I only know him from like smaller roles, but like he was on a podcast. Was it it was Tig Notaro's podcast. And I love Tig Notaro. In fact, she's not doing this particular podcast anymore, which I'm really bummed about. Don't ask Tig. And she would have on an actor and they would talk first about what's going on in their life. And then they would answer like listener or viewer, listener call, like problems or whatever. But he was on with his daughter because they released a book together, things he wrote, and his daughter illustrated it. And she's like in her 20s. But he made that point about, I think he actually might have mentioned Kevin Spacey or someone else, where he's like, I'm not going to not appreciate their art, because he goes, I separate the art from the artist. And I appreciated that, because I think we're being, I don't know if the word would be disingenuous or foolish, or, I think we're being something that we're not like, that we're, oh, you can't give them any whatever credit because they're, I call bullshit on that. I mean, Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists, and it's only recently I learned, he did have bipolar disorder, whatever. But like back then, he was not thought to be a great guy because they didn't understand him, and he's being
Right.
taken away and arrested and everything. Can you imagine saying, "Oh, I'm not going to support that man because he's crazy and he's this and he's that and he's the devil and he's dangerous." Look at his beautiful artwork. And so they would be right, but now we praise him, and it's just, I
Right.
don't know. And I don't mean to just dump all this, but it's stuff I think about, and I wish people would think more and have conversations more instead of looking at memes and going, yeah, that's how I feel. Like, stop it. Please
Right.
stop it.
And I think you're exactly like, you really, it's that throwing the baby out with the bathwater, all or nothing thinking. And all or nothing thinking is stuff I have to stay away from because of my OCD. Like, it's just not even a place I can go to. But just to say, like, it's more nuanced too, though. So I 100% agree with you. Like the case of Kevin Spacey, American Beauty is one of my favorite movies. The Usual Suspects. I mean, you're going to tell me I'm never going to watch that movie again because he's a pervert? No, like that's a great film. But okay, so this is my one exception, and this was someone I rode hard for. Okay, so since I was a little girl, one of my favorite movie stars, directors, writers was Woody Allen. Okay, I like hardcore Woody Allen. In the 90s, it comes out, he marries his daughter, his wife's daughter, but it's not his daughter, and he never adopted her, and there were all these excuses. He never gets arrested. There are these stories where he may have molested a younger daughter, but that all gets thrown out. So he's never truly tried. So as me, a fan of Woody Allen, I'm like, oh, that was all lies that Mia made up, because if it had been real, he would have been arrested, right? So during the pandemic, Rowan Farrow, is that his name? Ronan Farrow? Farrow.
Yeah.
He did a documentary about his sister, the sister who was assaulted by Woody. And it's appalling. Like, I don't know if you've seen it. It is so, like, the cover-ups, the state of New York firing investigators because they're like, Woody brings too much money to New York. No, you're not. We're not ruining Woody Allen. Like, he is above the law. And this woman, what has happened to her from this experience with her father. And I not with a parent, but I went through assault as a child. So that was really personal to me, and watching it and hearing about how his films, the way he wrote films and wrote young girls. I mean, in Manhattan, he's 40 and he's dating a 16-year-old girl. That he, in a way, his writing groomed young women. So then there were all these women my age who are comedians in New York, and they're like, yeah, I mean, I literally thought love is a man leaving his wife for me. Love is and that, if you look at any relationship I've had with men, it's all like that. It's older men who were married. I mean, it's out of the Woody Allen playbook. So that documentary wrecked me to a point that then I was like, well, can I watch his movies? I can't watch Manhattan. That one repulses me. Hannah and Her Sisters was always my favorite. And I even still am struggling a little bit. Like, so I had like photos of him everywhere, took them down, like, books are off the shelf. Like, I mean, I met him at 20 years old. I went to New York to see him play at the Carlisle, waited for him, talked to him. So he's the only one, but it's more like I think it's personal, and it's like Woody is his art. Woody played himself in every movie. Woody wrote, directed, starred. So it's a little bit like I can't get away from him and his movies, you know. But he's the only one. He's the only, and it's just, and that's a personal thing, you know. And it's that's what I think people have to decide. You can't make everyone on the internet feel the way you feel about something. I wouldn't tell you, Janine, I'm not gonna be your friend if you like Woody Allen movies. Like, I get it. Those movies are freaking brilliantly written, and his wit and his humor changed my life and informed the human I am today. I just now can't really enjoy them, and I've kind of stepped back. But I don't care what you do. Like, why can't people do that?
Yes, yes. Or at least say, okay, I don't like that you support him because I find him repulsive or what repugnant or whatever. But I'm not going to make my decision about you as a human because of that. And that's I just like, and I felt this way for a long time. And I just, the more I look at social media every day, I have less and less. I mean, I use it just like I'm sure you do. I
Yeah,
use it to promote stuff, and I use it because I have marketing clients, but I'm finding my ability to scroll through even less and less because of stuff like that. And because of, and I hate to say it, I just think we're getting dumber and dumber, and people
we
do
really are.
not want to think. It's like, I just saw a meme, I share it now. Like, that's kind of the mentality. And I mean, I won't go on because I've bitched about this before on previous episodes. Like, I talked to you offline about canceling a show. Like, people are so caught up in what the masses are doing, or like the celebrities are doing. And it's like, here I am, like, I'll have this conversation with you. I create original content every week with my podcast that I'm so proud of. I'll get like one or two friends who will share it, but yet I can scroll through that same day and see like 12 of the same freaking memes about like Taylor Swift or about pumpkin spice or whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I think we're getting pretty generally dumb. And I mean, and I could be like the person that other people might describe as, oh, you're so pretentious, blah blah blah, whatever. I think for myself, that's one thing I can fall back on and I can tell you about. Can you? Will you? Would you
Right.
please? You
Yeah, I
know?
think original thought is dead, and I don't think it's rewarded anymore. Like TikTok. I mean, TikTok is an app meant to someone else says something, now you need to mouth it, and that because that one viral, now yours will go viral, and we're all doing the same and like it's all it is everybody doing the exact same thing. It's like those and when those go like get my most views, I'm just like, are you kidding me? I just like talked about mental illness. That one that didn't like no one cared about that, but me just lip syncing to someone else's words. Okay, yeah, let's go crazy on that one. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's yeah, I was really thinking about that today. Like, we got to a point, and I don't want to blame like George W. Bush, but I just remember that when he was running for president, that's when I heard the phrase, well, I like him because he's the kind of guy you could just have a beer with. I want someone
Mm.
I can relate to. I don't want somebody who's all numbers and smart like Al Gore, somebody who invented the internet. I don't want that. I just want someone I can have a beer with. And I just think we all were like, oh, so that's how you get popular. Don't be smart. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you make friends. People won't want to have a beer with me because I want to talk about this. So I got to just be dumb. I mean, I find myself dumbing myself down all the time, Janine. I mean, I've done it my whole life to be liked. I'm not going to lie to you. I dumb down every second of every day if it means that I think that'll make someone like me more constantly. I'm so not truthful to my brain most of the time because if I did, people would be like, whoa, she's mean. She doesn't have nice thoughts about it's not that I don't have nice thoughts. I just think everyone's a freaking idiot. And I'm so frustrated by at all times. And like original thought is dead. Anyone who's unique or original, it's like, that's cringe. Really? You saying cringe is cringe. Okay. Stop. 12-year-old. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. The internet can
I
break.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, the internet will break you. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I'm the same with you. I have to stay off of it to stay sane.
Yeah, I wonder who it's benefiting. And I hate to be like, I find myself almost becoming going down the conspiracy path because I'm like, well, I think we're getting dumber as a nation, and I'm sure that's going to benefit someone.
Yeah,
And like, we have so many real problems, and yet we're going to fight over like, oh, I don't trans people or, drag queen shows or what. Like, we're going to anything that divides and gets us like arguing over stuff. It's like, we still have poverty, we still have,
right.
inequality. Women are still not getting, we still have a shit ton of issues, and no one's thinking, what do you think the future's going to look like? I mean,
Exactly. I mean, the fact that Taylor's dating that I don't even know his name, the football player guy.
Kelsey or Kelsey. Yeah.
And I'm seeing that as much as I'm seeing the war in Israel and Palestine. I'm like, just like, they're both the competing. Meanwhile, we have an election coming up. Like, but they're the two top stories
Don't
fighting.
worry about that. We'll tell you who to vote for. What's that company they did the documentary on for? They'll take over Facebook and you'll just vote as you're supposed to.
Oh my God. And then the third most popular story is Jada Pinkett Smith because she,
Oh my God, that's literally what I've been seeing every other post.
I
Yes.
can't get away from it. I'm like, why? I don't care about any of this. Please. I just want to see Halloween movies. That's all I want.
That is the perfect segue. Okay. So, what have you seen or what are you excited about seeing? I'm all into this season. I love this season of year. I love scary movies. What have you seen and or what are you looking forward to seeing or what are your favorites?
So I've been watched a lot already. So this past weekend, I did a lot of the Friday the 13th just for the theme of the weekend. The first open weekend of of October, I did all the Halloween movies because Halloween, the original Halloween is that's my number one Halloween movie of all time. This week, I just told my business partner, Josh, I'm like, this week is my classics week. So it's going to be all the Hitchcocks, the Bad Seed. That's honest. Like that is like Halloween, The Bad Seed, and then The Lady in White, which isn't an old movie. I don't know if you know it. It's
Oh,
from the 80s.
no.
Oh my God, Janine. It is one of my favorite Halloween movies of all time. Since I was a little girl, I've been obsessed with this movie. And I just have to tell you this. The director of the movie, the writer director, at one point went on Facebook and whoever had Lady in White as their favorite movie, he messaged them and was like, I just want to say I'm Frank LaLoggia. Thank you so much for like, and I'm like, no, this can't be Frank LaLoggia because I knew exactly. And I'm like, it's Frank LaLoggia. So I write him this heartfelt email. I'm just like, Frank, your movie changed my life. I was a little Italian girl. I had grown up. I had this assault had happened to me. So I understood trauma. This is the first like movie for kids that was like dealt with heavy issues. And it was so good. Like you changed my life. Like I just tell him all of this. He and I write to each other constantly. Over the pandemic, he had a little private Zoom with just the people who worked on the movie. He invited me to be a part of it so I could
Oh
ask
my
questions.
gosh.
He is the sweetest man. He's like supported things I've done with Josh, my comment. Like he's just, yeah, he lives in Italy. But yeah, just based on
That's
my love of that
awesome.
movie.
So I
So
don't know that I've ever heard of that movie. So Lady in White, and is
yeah,
it is considered like a horror movie or no?
yeah, it's like I think they put it like horror suspense thriller because it's the main character is Lucas Haas and he was like a little boy at the time when he did the movie, but there's a lot of like Len Carew is in it. The woman who played Mona from Who's the Boss, she's kind of like maybe the lady in
Oh,
white.
Catherine Hellman, I think,
Yes,
right? Or
Catherine
no?
Hellman,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Um
Okay. Well, I'll
yeah.
have to. Where do you know if that's on a streaming service? I'll look
I'm
for that.
I'm embarrassed to say that I know it's on Tubi because it deserves better. It was on HBO Max last Halloween, but I know it's on Tubi.
Okay, I just watched something on Tubi last week, and it was a 2023 release. What the hell was it called? Oh, jeepers! Was it a stranger or something? I don't know. This lady who operates a 911 thing, and some guy with a freaky mask. It wasn't so much scary as like kind of disturbing and suspenseful, but it was okay. Yeah.
Oh, but I did see Brightburn. That came out like a couple years ago. I rented it on Amazon,
Oh,
and that was really good. I'll just tell you, it's like the Bad Seed meets like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And
okay. Brightburn. I've never heard of that one. Okay, cool. I'll have to look for that one. All right. Any new ones that you think you might see?
I like I'm torn. Like I kind of want to see the new Exorcist, and then at the same time, I know it's going to be awful. But I love the act, like the original act. Like my sister, I freak her out. I like put it on and go to bed, and she's like, I can't watch it when it's light out by myself, and you go to sleep with the Exorcist on. But I'm so not afraid of the devil, because like really, like he's not gonna possess me. Like
I went to see that
Satan would
last Sunday.
feel my brain and be like, no, man, I'm not doing this. Like I'm out. Like that's crazy. I don't want to do that. So no, I'm not afraid of Satan possessing me. But the new Exorcist, I kind of want to see.
I did see that, and I will tell you, and I think we've talked about this. I don't like to go to movies anymore. Like I don't because people are rude, basically. But my friend Kristen, who likes them, she took her daughter, who's like 12 or whatever, 13, and of course they had to sit separately, her and her friend. And I said, okay, a Sunday afternoon, it should be okay. There was only two other people in the place. I'm like, because I just it creates anxiety for me when other people are there being rude. It wasn't bad. It was entertaining enough. But again, when I get home, I have to read articles. So I will share one thing and then I want to get back to your answer. again about where I think we're not so bright anymore and what passes. Our level of excellence anymore is mediocrity. So I'm reading this article or this review of the movie on the Roger Ebert website. And we know he's passed away. So I'm thinking, but still, in his name, you would
Right.
think the person. So what pisses me off, and I'm not going to give anything away in case you do decide to see it, but this one couple or the family that's in it, they're clearly not Catholic. And he refers to this little girl's religion as the Catholic faith, and it's a Catholic family. They have a preacher, not a priest, a preacher. And I mean, I was raised Catholic, so we
Yeah.
know Catholic.
Yeah.
Throughout the stupid review, he's referring it to as Catholic. And I'm like, how the F can you get something so wrong? And
Yeah.
it's important because they're talking about different faith and different religions in the movie, and you're calling this little girl's family Catholic. They are effing not Catholic.
Oh
And I
my
can tell you
God.
that. I was like, again, Gab, this falls under Janine talking to her phone or her TV, screaming by herself. I'm like, I'm outraged. Roger Ebert must be rolling in his grave because how could you have someone writing a review and getting the religion wrong? And to
Right.
this day, I do want to write to them and tell them about that. But anyway, I was pissed that they're getting that. That's a big detail to get incorrect, and you
Yeah.
don't care about this shit. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you from another movie that you might see.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any. I mean, I will like nothing new that I know of that I can think that is horror based. I mean, I'll watch all my like I love The Conjuring, I love Signs. Like I'm
Mm,
a big I kind of keep Halloween going all year round. Like it's not a
it's
just
not
around.
one time a year. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, have you watched the two newest Halloweens that came out
Yes.
last fall and the previous fall? What did you think of them?
Okay, so I've seen all 3 of the new ones, and when I watch them by myself, I really enjoy them. When I watch them with my sister, I can see how stupid and ridiculous and awful they are, and I can't even get through them. Like, when she's with me, it's like she'll be like, "Are you kidding? Are you serious?" And I'm like, all right, yeah, you're right, okay." But if she's not with me and I can just get in my Haddonfield world and just be like a fangirl, because like I love that like universe so much. Like I tell Oscar when I wear a Halloween shirt, he's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Michael Myers. He's my friend." Like I literally mean it. Like I grew up watching these movies, so I really am like, yeah, I know all these people. So I enjoy them. I rewatched the third one just like 2 days ago, the one where it's like Michael's not really in it, but
Like
the
more of a love story, that one.
yeah, the one
Yeah.
where the kid, well, that but I want to say like that. I know it was criticized heavily. I criticized it heavily because Corey is like the main star instead of Michael. But that opening scene when Corey is babysitting, the kid locks him in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Corey's angrily trying to open, and the parents come home, and the kid. That was one of the best deaths I've ever seen in a horror film ever. So I give them that as like that scene changed me.
That was, I have to say, I thought overall it was a good movie, but it was funny. Again, I watched it with my friend Kristen and her daughter, who was like, what, 11 last year at this time. And of course, it is totally different. Like watching myself, I can get into it, but watching with the peanut gallery, you're laughing. And we were like, what is this? A love story? What the hell? But it was still good. I enjoyed it. But now the previous years, I enjoyed it, but almost from a comical
Right.
perspective. Like I wasn't scared. Like the one it had what's her face from the Housewives of Beverly Hills in it, the long black hair, who was a child actor. Oh my God. She was one of the kids from high school and she was
Oh,
back
right.
at
She's
the
like
bar.
Lindsay, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. So it was comical more than
Oh,
anything else, but
well,
it was
Anthony Michael
still
Hall as Tommy, and he's like, I'm evil dies tonight. Like that whole
yes. Oh my God. That was the part that put me over the top when they're all chanting in the hospital, evil dies tonight.
it's
I was
not even
like,
Michael Myers.
you gotta be kidding me. That chant was so bogus. But again, it was fun to watch. One of my favorite parts, the when Michael kills somebody with he breaks a fluorescent light in the kitchen. I was like, oh, that's awesome. That was so cool.
Yeah. Oh my God. The kills in that one were the best. I mean, when the fire department and the police department are all slaughtered by Michael within like a 5 second span, you're like, what did I just watch? Yeah, it's horrible, but it's wonderful all at once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this while we're talking about Halloween, because this is the most controversial. And it's like one of my favorite things that has ever been created, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Okay. I don't
You ever
now
seen
is
that one?
I don't know that I had. So Halloween 3 as in one of the earlier ones, right? Like
Yeah, it was the first one where Michael wasn't in it at all. And when the audience hated that, they're like, "We'll go back to Michael. We hear you."
okay.
The one
See,
with the masks that melt your face.
okay, I don't think I saw that because I will admit I'm not as much of a fan as you. So of
Oh,
course I
okay.
know the original, which I still enjoy watching. I still find that to be very
Oh,
scary
phenomenal.
with Jamie Lee Curtis. Like I think it's very scary. And when he falls and then they look out and he's gone, like
Yeah.
that's a well done movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. After that, I get very confused because I didn't really follow it. Like then I think I saw ones with Jamie Lee Curtis years later, like H2O
Yeah, the
maybe, or
20-year
like
anniversary. Yeah.
and I did see a couple of Rob Zombie versions, which I kind of enjoyed, I have to
I didn't
say. I
hate
mean,
them.
he's freaking disturbing. His
Yeah.
movies, House of a Thousand Corpses and all those, oh, I am frightened by his movies for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, the third one, yeah, it has the Pittsburgh actor Tom Atkins is the star of it. So it's, there's a lot of hometown love for me, but it's just so absurd and I really love it. And I believe that Stranger Things is completely ripped off from Halloween 3. Like it's yeah.
Really?
From the minute the first opening scene of Stranger Things, I'm like, this is the opening scene from Halloween 3. This is completely ripped off. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Ah,
It's worth watching,
interesting.
but like my sister hates it. She's like, it is the worst movie ever made on the planet. I'm like, I disagree.
I watched, oh gosh, I'm terrible anymore. My mind is getting like I will say I don't know if it's perimenopausal fog or what. There was one movie that I watched that I found pretty scary, and of course I won't think of the name of it now, but it was like these teens, well they're in college. They go off to they're driving to a haunted house they see, and it's kind of modern day times. I think it was only created like it was 2019 or whatever. And there's a sign, one of those typical, it's this way through the woods, and they have to put their phones in a lockbox at the opening, and then they go in, and it's pretty darn scary. And all like, so it basically what happens, the torture and stuff is real, really happening. And it scared the crap out of me, and I can't think of the name of it. If I think of it I'll tell you later, but I can't think of the name of it. But I watched that maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago. That scared me. That was really scary. And I I watched one the other night that was just funny, but foreign horror is can be fun, like Swedish, called The Conference, and it's Swedish, and it was just like, yeah, again, I think you might enjoy it because some of the kills, like the guy takes I don't even know what the hell, did he have a oh my god, a chainsaw or something else that he put, oh no, it was the engine off of a motorboat, like the propeller and stuff, that he like basically like sliced this guy up in a hot tub. Like
Oh,
there
I
was
love
some
that kind of
really
stuff.
over
Yeah.
the top kills in it, and there was like of course a little bit of a social and moral message throughout, but really just killing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like there's also like some really screwed up humor in it. Like I mean, Swedish movies, some of the Swedish movies I've watched with the horror component are pretty wacky, and I thought it was pretty entertaining. That was on Netflix. I watched that on Friday.
Yeah. The only I wouldn't say, well, no, Let the Right One In and then Pan's Labyrinth are probably the only two like foreign horror films I've ever seen.
Some of them are, and there was one I tried to watch, and it was actually good and scary, but it got to be a little too intense for me, I think. And I forget what language it was, but I think it was taking place in, was it Poland or something? And it got a little too intense. I'm like, because I think there was some cannibalism going on. There was some all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I think I've had enough of this. This is a little bit too much for me, too dark.
Have
Um,
you seen Get Out or Us?
yeah, so Get Out, I think I saw that one in the movies, and I've watched it since. That's a good movie. I really enjoy that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like that goes beyond horror. Like you actually get to think in that one, which I think Jordan Peele, I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Does that? I think that was really good. Now,
I've seen
which is
Us
Us
is
his?
incredible. Yeah,
Is that
that's his
his?
too. And it's the one with like doppelgangers. And
Okay.
it's so good. Like truly, I was freaked out watching that movie for the first time. And still when I watch it now, there's certain scenes where I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. So good. I haven't seen the one about aliens yet. That's the only one I haven't seen. So maybe that'll be a new one I watch before Halloween.
I think I remember when Us was out in the movies, I saw it advertised and I thought, oh, I'd see that because I really liked Get Out, but I didn't. I'll have to see if that's on a streaming service
It
because I
it
would like to
just
watch that.
dropped on Netflix 2 days ago. So if you
Oh, it did. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
because everyone's been talking about like, oh my God, Us is on Netflix. You have to, and it is. It's so good.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see that.
I watched a show that I was like, I gotta tell Janine about it. Now typically it's like a detective. I think it's based on like this guy, Harlan Coben, who writes like mostly detective.
Yes, he writes a ton of great series that I love. Yes.
So he has a young adult series called Shelter, and they turned it into an Amazon Prime show. It was only 8 episodes, but it was so good. I loved it. I mean, binge watch, boom, praying for a second season, but it was really good, and I think you might like it.
Okay, Shelter on Amazon Prime. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he does a lot of those that I've watched already that's been on Netflix. I like most of the series that he's involved with. I like
Okay,
those a
cool.
lot. Yeah.
He
Now,
wrote
do
this
you
with his
watch
daughter.
the ones that are like Hill House and
Oh,
all
I
of those
love
different
those. Yes. I'm watching House of Usher right now. Yeah.
So funny thing about Usher, House of Usher, I want it like from the trailer they're showing. I'm like, ooh, that looks spooky. So I must have had too much caffeine Friday because I was like antsy and I turn it on for like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what this is about. And I turned it off because I just wasn't in the mood to sit still. And that's when I turned on the Swedish the conference. And that was just stupid enough. But I do want to go back to that, the Fall of the House Usher, because it's good. I wasn't in the mood to sit still and like wait a minute to find out what was going on.
That's how I was the first time I turned it on too. I was like, I don't think I'm in the headspace for this right now. But today I had a show early and then I like had a lot of downtime. So I'm like, I'm gonna come back from my show, eat lunch, put that on, binge watch a few episodes. And it's good. I mean, I don't think it's as great as Haunting of Hill House or Midnight Mass is my that he's
I
done.
love Midnight Mass. That was
I rewatch
fantastic.
it so much. It's terrifying.
Now, did you watch? I guess I was mistaken and thought it was the same guy, and it wasn't, but it was in that same kind of genre. The Midnight Club, where it was with the kids who had illnesses.
I started, I feel like one episode, but I just didn't get into it too much. But my sister really liked it and she's like, you need to go back and revisit that. So
I would agree with your sister on that because when it first came out, I didn't really have interest. And I've had friends tell me, oh, you should watch it. Not so much from the scares, although there are some scares, but like it's also very emotional too, though. So you'd have to know, be in the space for that because there's a lot of like kind of sadness because all the kids are terminally ill. But it was really good and really well acted. So I enjoyed that one a lot. Yeah.
cool. I will check that out. That does sound good.
What about Our Evil?
I know.
When is that coming back?
I thought it was supposed to come back and then the writer's strike. And now I'm like, okay, well, what's going on now? Come on.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. Did we like get over that hurdle? Can it go back to productivity and maybe we can get like a couple episodes out? That would be awesome. I
I
would love
know.
to
It's
see it.
really a bummer. Like all the shows just that's why I was
Well,
so happy. Culture had just dropped and then the writer's strikes happened. So I'm like, okay, let's have a new show.
but what I wonder though, because remember the writer's strike happened, but I remember reading like someone walked off the set. So I'm curious if they walked off because they were annoyed that like things were still in production or if they had other issues or like
Oh.
conflict and they like are leaving the show because and I don't know who it was but I just remember them reporting that an actor walked off the set so I'm hoping that no one left.
Oh no, it was not Christine Lottie.
Oh, I mean I hope it's none of them. They're all
I
so
know.
great in
But
their
she like
different.
her character was the one who I mean, she really changed at the last like it was like, oh no. And like then we've just been like left hanging all this time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The baby shower, right? Isn't that where we are left,
Yep.
basically? Yeah. So okay, we've talked a lot about horror movies and things, but I want to ask you about you. So, listeners who know Gab, you know Gab's story, but Gab, as I said, has been to Scranton recently in May. She was here. She does all kinds of wonderful entertaining and mental health advocacy. Last time she was on the show, we talked about your album because you record it and you weren't happy, so you re-record it. What is going on with that? Is there any update?
So the update is the next step is recording original music that I've written. But the guy that is producing it, right around the time of the second recording, there's another guy in our town who is doing really well musically. And he put out this album and it's killing it. And now he is touring the world. And he picked my producer to be his drummer. So my producer has been touring the world as a professional drummer and is not in Pittsburgh to help me. Yeah, so he's not been around for months. So I'm hoping in the winter they'll take a break and I'll be getting all my music done during these winter months. That is the hope. But yeah, my producer went bye-bye. And I know I could get another producer, but I specifically wanted him for the music.
Mm,
So it's like
okay.
I want to do this with Jake. So yeah.
And let me ask you, not to be like, how does that make you feel? Like a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but like that's got to be somewhat frustrating. Or like, are you, I don't want to say, I mean, you want to work with him, so that makes sense, but like you probably also have this desire to get your project moving. Is it hard when you have to kind of like wait on someone or be like put things on the shelf for just a little bit? Or how are you handling that?
I have gone like in a few directions where I'm like, you know what? Maybe we don't do the music on this one. We just take the comment that we have and that's what we put out and we just do that. Like I am still thinking of maybe switching gears. The other problem is I've been writing so much new material and people are like, well, are you going to put those jokes on? I'm like, no, because that was so like that makes it frustrating. But I'm also sort of like, I never was taking the album like too seriously. I wanted to just sort of be a, evidence of what I do beyond just stand up, and have just kind of tell my little story. So yeah, I'm not letting it like upset me in any way. I kind of was like, okay, well, I want to work with Jake, so I'm gonna wait, and this must not have been the right time, and I just have a lot of other things coming, and like I don't know, I think old me would have been like, no, I'm they're touring the world, and I'm just a loser, and I'm just like, whatever. I got other stuff going on. I have time. It'll be fine. And it's
Good.
expensive. Let's not kid ourselves. Like every time I go in the studio, it costs me a lot of money. So I'm like, you know what? I can save a little money for a little bit and not be in the studio. I'm kind of okay with that too. So
I can see that. Yeah. No,
yeah.
that's good though. But I mean, I can understand things that can be frustrating though when you, especially when you're eager to get your art out there, but you're like you're out there performing, so it's not like you're not sharing your art with the world. And I see that you and your partner Josh are out there doing stuff with schools a lot. I love to see those photos. Those kids all look so happy in those
Oh,
photos that you do the school assemblies. Well, I don't know if school assembly is the right word, but you do a program for kids and they all look so happy.
it is. It is a school assembly. It's a, depending on the school, we always say we can go anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour, like whatever you want. They usually run around 45 minutes of classroom time. And they're a blast. I mean, we get to travel, get to meet new people. A lot of, I mean, some of the schools have brought us back every year. So there's some schools we've been going to for 10 years straight. So the kids have known us their whole lives. I mean, that's always said too. Like I was just at a school and the kids are like, Gab, we're in fifth grade. We won't see you next year. This is it. This is our last Josh and Gab show. So Josh and I literally stayed for like an hour after and just did autographs for like an hour. I mean, these kids just all wait. Can you sign our shoes? Can you sign my jacket? Can you do that? I mean, it's just they treat you so well. Like there are so many times where I'm like, this is like I get paid. Like if I didn't get money, like it's just the vibe is so good. Like it's just really a good vibe.
That is awesome. And we've talked about this before because there are times that I'm like petrified of kids because I just like one, I don't have them. And two, like I just don't, I feel like I always worry I'm not cool enough for them or whatever. But I think, and I think we've talked about this before, like you guys are you talk to them at their level, you make it fun for them. And I think that's probably what they want most, right? They don't want to be talked down to and they want it. And you're just fun. You're there to have fun with them. But you're still delivering a positive message, but in a way that they're like digging it. They like it.
Yeah, it's really it's yeah, it's an amazing thing and we're so much better at it, now too being older. I feel better at it having Oscar in my life because I really have a little kid in my life and I know the stakes of that now and so I'm like, more sensitive I think at times where I would have been like, "Oh, no, it's a show. We just got to go." And it's like, "Hey, wait, hey little ones, I'm going to be drumming, so, hold your ears, or whatever." But yeah, it's so fun and I really feel like I'm me. Like in some ways, I'm like, I can't believe like who I was as an 8-year old. I basically get paid to play her and make kids be nice to one another. Like that's like because 8-year old Gab was like fearless. I mean, 8-year old Gab was like doing well in school. My mean brother hadn't moved back home yet, so I didn't have all that trauma coming. I was in a good place with the trauma that had happened. Like I just wasn't vibing in my life at 8. But I also was very like I don't know what the word is because I'm athletic. I had a lot of like that kind of athletic confidence that normally you only see in boys. So I wasn't afraid. I mean, I was really fearless. And to be able to like vibe in that again and just like remind little girls, you can drum, you can be the lead in the band, you can do that. It's like I just show it. I don't have to say it. Like, girls, you're important too. I just be. And they get it, and like one of my favorite things are when like fourth or fifth grade boys come up, like a group of them, and they're like, Gab, man, you have so much swag. Dap me, Gab. Dap me. Gab, I gotta know. Like, what's your favorite video game? Gab, can we play Fortnite together? Hey, Gab, you know, and I'm like, I just won over 5th grade boys, bro. Do you know how hard that is? Like when I was in 5th grade, I was like, yo, am I gonna be able to sit in the back of the bus, or are these boys gonna mess with me? You know what I mean? But it's just like it's wild. And we have friends, like my sister has friends who their kids have seen us and they'll be like, oh my God, our kids were playing Josh and Gab last night in the playroom. And he kept insisting he got to be Gab and she was Josh, but then they'd switch parts. And it's like, is this my life? Like, this is crazy. But yeah, it's one of the best things I've ever done in my whole life, period. And I'm so blessed that I still get to do it and that my health is making me able, because it's not like easy. There are so many times I finish a show and I want to scream into the microphone, I'm 44. I know you don't know that, but this 44-year-old woman just ran around this thing, dancing, singing, sliding on floors, doing comedy. Does your mom, can she do this? She's 28. I'm 44. Like, I literally, like, I want people to just be like, this is ridiculous. No person should be doing this at this age. But yeah.
That's awesome. I just watched so you might be coming, I won't give details yet, but you might be coming bringing that show to Scranton in the summer. But as I was looking at your stuff, I watched your first, what kind of, I guess, got it started, your Abraham Lincoln, I think,
Oh my
song or
God.
something. That was that, I guess, one of your first things that you and Josh did, musical, where you're like making history fun and interesting because you did a little song about it, little ditty. And
Yeah.
did you do that just for fun, or were you like preparing to do like for people to see it?
No. So that's so funny. So Josh, I was always a huge fan of Josh. I've loved every band he was in Pittsburgh. I've like followed, like, not stalkery, but I've just huge fan. Same with him. So he always loved my stand up. He'd always be at my shows. And we got to a point where we would do like these gallery crawl shows where like a band would open and I would close, or I would open and he would close. So we were like working near each other. And so he knew I could carry a tune. I never identified as a singer. And then one Christmas, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zoe Deschanel put out a video of them singing "What Are You Doing New Year's Eve?" It goes viral. And I'm annoyed personally because I'm just like, why do famous people get to go viral? You're already famous. You don't need to go viral. Well, Josh like puts that on Facebook as his, like, what he's thinking. I hate when famous people go viral. So I direct message him like, I feel the same way. And we start going back and forth. And he's like, what if we did like some kind of parody on what they did, but like not, a song that's already exists? What could we do? And he was like, what about if I wrote like a song about Abraham Lincoln getting assassinated and we do like a President's Day song? I'm like, I'm obsessed. Do it. And literally within 5 minutes, he's like, what do you think of this? And he sent a recorded demo already to me. So I run down to my mom and I'm like, hey, you know that really cute guy, Josh? What do you think of this song, Mom? We might sing it, make a video. And she's like, he wrote that in 5 minutes? Yeah, go work with that boy. So he and I like hung out one day, and that's when we became best friends. Like literally, I came to his house. We hung out for 8 hours. We sang the entire Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack together. He played guitar and we just sang it in his house. And we're like, let's make this video. We made it. And then Bethany, my best friend, had a little nephew who was like 2 at the time. And he just became obsessed with our song. And he was singing the lyrics about Abraham Lincoln getting assassinated. And Bethany was like, what if you guys like actually wrote music for kids that was like important and not this kind of stuff? She's like, she was studying to be a principal at the time. And she's like, we've been bringing in these assemblies for anti-bullying and it's just not resonating with the kids. Do you think you guys could like do something like that? I could maybe, and she's literally was like, I could maybe get you like $100. Do you think you could maybe like put a show together? So Josh and I sat in my mom's garage for like a month with big poster boards. He had to teach me how to play drums. I'd never played drums before, but I was like, I think I should play drums. I want girls to be empowered. Teaches me how to play drums. We write all this music. I've never sung professionally ever in my life. Go do a couple shows. They go well. Do a couple more. It was just word of mouth, and it just took over and it became our full-time job, and it was wild. It was just Bethany. I give her all the credit, Bethany.
Bethany. That's great. I mean, I've seen the videos, I've seen the posts. They really like the way they look at you guys, like you're rock stars. So that's got to be a great feeling. As I mean, not only, but you're actually giving them a message that means something, and the music is good, and you give them an incredibly high energy show, it seems. Yeah.
Oh my God, so high energy. And the one other thing I love about it that I'm always proud of is the teachers will be like, you're our favorite assembly, because we both really work hard to like tell jokes that go over the kids' heads so the teachers can get huge laughs. We really want to make it fun for everybody. So we've always really taken the teachers just as important. And like Josh and I value teachers. I'm a kid who got bullied. I'm a kid who, I had my life was insane. I always loved the attention of teachers. I was voted class kiss up my senior year of high school because all the teachers were my friends. Josh, his mother's a teacher, his brother's a teacher. Like it's ingrained in who he is as a person. So like what are one of our songs this year for like, so we do a new season, like a new show every season. We write new songs. Like there's certain songs the kids love that we have to redo, obviously, but like we try to always have a new show for every season. And so we always have a new parody song. And the parody song this year is Jack Black's Peaches from the Super Mario movie. But instead of peaches, we sing teachers, 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 teachers. And then we do this like love song to the teachers. But during my verse, I go like total Jack Black. And I'm like, and I'm like sliding on the floor and I'm on the ground, like spinning, singing to them. It's like crazy. And you're like, this is happening in a public school in America. And it is. And it's all in the guise of loving your school, being kind to each other and looking out for one another.
That's great. I mean, and that's important too, respecting and loving the teachers too, because their job is not easy. Yeah.
My gosh. No, 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 no. Yeah. It's like a whole, like, I don't love the term anti-bully anymore, just because I think that's really cruel to the kids who are the bullies, who are probably getting bullied at home or going through some kind of emotional turmoil. They need help. I'd rather us not just label them like they're bad. We don't play with bullies. No, let's get the bullies some help. So I hate that term, but I do think if you take like a proactive love of like your space, your environment, like you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but you could be like, hey, I don't really like that person, but they still go to my school. So I look out for them. You know what I mean? Like this is, you take ownership of where you are every day, who you are. You're stuck there. I mean, it's your job. So, you got to find some passion and love in the building and the place and the people. And that's what I'm always just trying to encourage them. Like find what you love at school. Maybe it's one class, maybe it's 3 friends, maybe it's 2 teachers, maybe it's the chicken nuggies, whatever it is, that's what I want you to focus on. And that's what you're going to go do today, because it's tough.
Yeah. You just reminded me of a show. Do you watch Abbott Elementary?
Oh, it's my favorite. Love it.
Yeah. I reminded me because that's one of my go-to comfort shows now. Like Seinfeld's always been my number one. Office is another, but now Abbott Elementary is, and I can't wait for them to come back because with 2 seasons, I'm like, okay, I've watched this a million times now.
Yeah, same
but
here.
It reminded me of the episode where, of course, Janine Teague's the overachiever, the 2 girls in her class who aren't getting along, and like her lesson at the end is sometimes, we're not going to be best friends, but like we can exist, kind of more or less the same thing, exist in the same space, more or less. And like at the end of the episode, they both reach for the tissue box, and the one girl just kind of like tips it toward her, like they don't like each other, but they're going to tolerate each other, and they're in the same class. And it's just, it reminded me of that. Yeah,
that show is my absolute favorite, and that's the only show that I've ever felt has depicted what Josh and I do with Tyreek, her boyfriend, Janine's old boyfriend, the one, because he's insane.
Abbott on Abbott on Abbott.
That's what we do. Like he's like, yo, Abbott, how we doing out there? All right,
big booty gonna grab it.
But like some of his lines are insane. That if someone gives you drugs, punch him in the face. Punch him. Like, crazy. But Tyreek is my favorite character ever. Like I love him so much.
He's a riot, honestly.
I was so bummed when they broke up. I was like, oh, you have to bring him back, please.
In the car with making a left turn.
Oh my God. Yeah, so good. He's so good.
It's a good show. And now going back and we'll wrap up here in a minute, but I'll go full circle because that show is about schools and teachers and about, shout out Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, yep, which is right down the road. And they've mentioned Allentown, which is only an hour and 15 down the road, and Lake Wallenpaupack. They mentioned all these places, but somebody I know is their relative is like a principal in a school. And, he'd asked her if she'd watched it. Oh, well, she didn't watch it because, well, they, misrepresent teachers or, some kind of thing, putting down teachers or schools or whatever. And it's like, it kind of goes back to like what we were talking about before. And like, and for me, it's like having a sense of humor. And I don't know, maybe I would feel differently if I was a teacher. I mean, I did teach 7 years part-time in college, but it's not the same thing. But like, I just think there no more than like anything like The Office or other shows back in the day, there's a parody to it. Like, I
Right.
mean, like Ava, oh my God, she's hilarious. Yeah, she's a
Oh,
horrible principal. But then kind of like Office, like Michael with The Office, she has her moments too where she does the right thing.
yeah.
And there are people, like back to what we were saying, the world isn't perfect. There are people out there like that are in a job that maybe did something shitty to get it or don't deserve it. But it's depicting a lot of reality. And again, it got a lot of great work together and just making people laugh. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't yeah, I don't understand the critiquing of Abbott Elementary as though it's, not depict I mean, it's a situational comedy. So it's supposed to be outlandish. Ava is supposed to be worse than a principal would be because it's Tuesday night comedy on a television. Like I just don't yeah, it just there's no discernment in the world anymore. Everyone's just make it simple, make it 10 seconds long, keep scrolling.
Documentary part aspect of it. It's like, no, it's not a documentary. It's mockumentary style comedy.
Yeah. Wow. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's a scary time to exist, but I've come to the place where I won't live in fear of these like whatever the people on Twitter who want to cancel everybody or whatever because it's just like I know who I am. I know what I've done in my life. I know what I try to do every day to make life better for people. I'm not gonna like if you think I'm a bad person because I hit like on one, like they'll cancel you for liking a video and they're like, they didn't know that content creator, it does this. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't because it popped up for a second. I thought it was funny. I hit like. I am not like doing deep dives into it's not that deep, guys. Bring it down a notch.
Oh man, positive note. And I'm just gonna say that you really have to check out Gab Bonesso, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Uh Gab and Josh have a really great program. So if you do have a school that you're, maybe you're a teacher, you're a principal, and you want someone entertaining who actually talks to the kids, doesn't talk down to the kids, check out Gab and Josh and Gab's entertaining comedy and also doing a lot of public speaking, and we didn't even get into that tonight. But as you know, if you've ever listened before, Gab has shared her story a couple times with mental health advocacy, and it's so important. And I admire the work she is doing. And as you know, I've had many people on recently who've had either bipolar, or I've had a couple folks who recently, a woman who was on talking about her father that she lost to suicide. So we need to talk about that, remove the stigma, and we need to find things that help lighten our day, like laughter and humor, and try to not only give ourselves a break but give other people a break, and try not to just live with black or white, because there's so many areas of gray in between. Don't think something is this or that. Extremes are just not healthy. So hopefully you've enjoyed our conversation and some scary movies. Check them out. It's a fun time right now, right? So as we close, are you going to do anything fun for the Halloween like week or weekend? What are you going to do?
Well, I have these some campfire shows coming up where I go and tell scary
Oh.
stories at the Allegheny County parks and then sing songs from the Josh and Gab repertoire. So I already did one. I have one this weekend, and then Josh and I will be together the weekend before Halloween. Oscar and I go trick or treating together every year, and Bethany, his mother, and I always went trick or treating together every year. But she decides what we get to dress as, so we're all doing different characters from the movie A Christmas Story. So Oscar is going to be Scott Farkus, and I'm going to be Grover Dill, his best friend, the little henchman. So, but Oscar and I have been dressing as skeletons for everything else. That's our real costume that we wanted to be.
I think I saw you wearing t-shirts maybe that were skeleton. You were out having soup together in the
Yeah, we were at Eaton Park. That was
post that
after
I
one of
saw.
my yeah, it was after one of the campfire shows. We both dressed like skeletons. Yeah.
That sounds like a really fun event though, like a campfire kind of thing, scary stories, but some songs too. That sounds really fun.
It's honestly, they're amazing. My sister came to it and she was just like, this is so like she gets such a kick out of how the kids are just so kind and love what we do. So
That's really great. Well, that's a great way to celebrate the season. So, as always,
Oh,
thank
I
you
had
so
one
much,
thing I wanted to say to you, Janine, if
Gab.
it's okay.
Oh, yeah, please, please.
While my album is in hiatus with everything, I did have someone film me at the Arcade Comedy Theater when I recorded the album, and I have that up on my YouTube, 52 minutes, my bootleg comedy special. So if anyone who's never seen my stand up would like to see what I'm all about, that's a good evidence of my work.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so you know what? I might have seen a clip of that and clicked on it. And then I think that was a case of where I was like, oh, wow, this is a long, I didn't realize it
Yeah.
was your whole show. And I'm like, I have to come back to this because I was somewhere where I was like going to look for like a minute or two. So that is on, is it just under Gab Bonesso, right?
Yeah, under my YouTube channel. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And I will share that for everybody in the show notes, a link to Gab's YouTube. So check out her bootleg special. So you'll get to see what was gonna be, it's gonna be part of, I guess,
Yeah, that'll be on
the
the album. Yeah. You're gonna see,
on
you're
the
gonna
album.
yeah, with a lot of the stand-up from the album. Yep.
Cool. So you'll get like a sneak preview of the stand up because the album is going to be stand up as well as some of Gab's written songs as well. So that's very cool. You can get a sneak peek of, and if you've never seen Gab before, you're going to like be in for a real treat. You're going to be like, okay,
She
a lot
really
of
is
high
a
energy.
maniac.
I forget who I was talking. Who the hell was I talking to about you? God, I can't remember. Besides Marie, I'm trying to think of who else we both know. Who the hell was it? Vicky from Disability Pride? Maybe I
Maybe.
don't remember. And I was just like, I don't remember now. I'm telling you, my brain is shot. But it was just saying like how Gab is like she had a lot of good energy, but like I go, yeah. Then when she did her stand up, I was like, whoa. I'm like, she's like a Vegas performer, like just pouring sweat, like incredible energy. I'm like, that is high energy she's got going on.
Well, I always quote you because you like spent days with me and we did like the mental health stuff and it's not quite at that level. And then we did the comedy show and you're like, hey, what the heck? Like what? Like, yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, I've just been storing it. I'm like a squirrel storing my energy until we get there.
You were almost like timid, like she's like
I
you were
am.
like.
I'm a very shy, natural. Like normally I don't like. I'm just very like.
I
I was
mean,
the
I
kid
think
holding on to my mom's leg.
we had a good time chatting and stuff. I think we
Oh
got
yeah,
like along naturally and stuff, but you were still pretty quiet and chill and like
yeah.
but yet your presentations talking mental health to the public were very dynamic, engaging. But when you did your stand up, I was like, holy shit. Like you were just like, like I was like Sam Kennison and just like, yeah, like a lot. Who the I wish I could remember who I was talking to in there. I was like, yeah, it was like a different ball of wax there. It was like different.
Yeah, it's like Jekyll Hyde, but not in a bad way.
No, no, not in a bad way. It's
Yeah.
like how you could not have that level of
No, I
energy throughout
die.
the day. You'd need
Yes.
a huge nap. Like that would
Yeah.
be too much. That would be
Yeah.
too
I only
much.
bring that out for performing and then I sleep the rest of the time.
Do you bring that out like every Tuesday when you're doing your like a
Oh
weekly
yeah.
show? Do you? Oh
Yeah. Like
wow.
especially if I'm only getting like 20 minutes, I gotta go wild. You know what I mean? Depending on how many people I have on. So yeah.
No, man, and I don't do the level of energy, but I mean, even at my level, which is mild compared to you, I have to say it takes a lot out of you because even when I do like, I forget who I was talking to recently when I'm like, I don't like to talk about it like in a pretentious way or a dramatic way, but there's a lot of emotion. Even like when I do my laughter yoga, it takes something out of you when you're connecting with people and you're sharing yourself, like you are the product. And to perform comedy and get home like I'm on a high, like I'm up. I mean, I don't do drugs and I'm not trying, again, I don't say that with judgment, I just don't, but like that has me up. So I can't even imagine your level, and I can understand now why you drove home to Pittsburgh that night, because you were like the fuel that you needed, like you were
Yeah.
already there. So
I know. And then like you drive home and then you have the energy from the drive. So you're like, shit, I got another hour to calm down before I can sleep. But yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. If it's drivable, I should just come home because I can make the trip and I've got the energy.
yeah, because I can't imagine like you couldn't have just like you stayed at my house the night before. You couldn't have just come home to my place and slept. You would have
Oh
been
no.
up, I would have think for like a
Oh,
couple
for a while,
hours.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's just like,
yeah,
may as well just go do this. Yeah.
yeah. So, folks, if you want to see like a version of Sam Kennison, and I don't know, I just think of him because I just think of like really
I
high
relate to
level.
him. I that anger and like the madness. Yeah. I feel like we both come from some same guttural place.
I used to love him as a kid, like when I was younger. It's like, oh, oh, oh. I just remember, like, I don't even know why I thought half of the stuff. I probably didn't get a lot of it, but I just thought he was funny.
I loved him
Um,
too.
yeah, I just loved him a lot. So check out Gab and check out the link in my show notes. I will definitely include a link. So check out for whatever inspiration, some laughter, some humor, or if you are related to working in a school and you want something that's good entertainment for the kids with a message, check out what Gab posts about the Josh and Gab or Gab and Josh show, because they have a really great message with a really entertaining way that engages the kids. So thank you so much, Gab. I appreciate you as always in your time. And it's been a couple months, so I
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that we were able to connect tonight.
I was so happy. I miss you, Janine. I was like, hey, anytime you want me to be on your podcast, it's mostly I just want to hang out with you, Janine. So whenever you want to hang out, I'm around. Yeah. No, I love you, Janine. You're like definitely, I consider you like a good friend. I really do.
Same, and I appreciate that, but I was feeling that too because I was like, you know what, I think I need to reach out to Gab and see if she's free because I think we need to chat.
Yeah.
And I hope people enjoy our chats, but I'm like, I don't have an agenda. I mean, whatever Gab wants to talk about, and it's like Halloween time, so let's just bullshit about some stuff.
I love it. I love it. But we also, you and me might have a project coming up in the new year. So that might
Yes,
be something we'll chat about again.
I hope that we do. So, folks who are
Yeah.
out there, you're going to love this if we do it because you'll be able to access it. It's going to
Oliver
be,
will love it.
oh my God. Can I tell you, he loves you? He
I love
absolutely
him.
loves you. Yeah, he's on my a little bit. I won't say shit list. I'll say a little bit of a list because damn him, he spoiled me, right? So he's my number one fan who would listen every week and would send me the little, okay, here's what I loved about this. And I mean, not that like I couldn't take criticism, but like he's always loved every episode and he's like, I learned this and I love this and I love when they said this or you said that. So I will blame his employer. I guess they're on my list because he has to go into work into the office more now. So when he was home, he was listening, like he did his work, obviously, but he was able to listen, whatever. So now he's back in the office a couple days a week.
Oh
And so
no.
he hasn't caught up on all of my episodes. So he is probably 3 to 4 weeks behind.
No,
Yes,
Oliver.
I
This isn't
know.
good.
No, it's stuck. And of course, I was spoiled because I was like, I missed because I need the validation. I missed those weekly texts telling me how much you enjoyed the podcast. So he got a stationary bike. So he's the one weekend, I think he was able to bang out like 3 episodes. So I got a text. He's like, okay, I listened to this one and this one and this one. But yeah, he's a good 3 or 4 weeks behind at least. So like I'm just like we zoomed on Sunday just to personally chat and stuff. And I'm like, have you listened to those episodes I mentioned? And he's like, no, we were gone away on vacation. Him and his husband went away for a few days. And he's like, so, and this week I'm in the office for a few days, but I'm going to catch up. I'm like, oh, okay. Of course, I'm like a child who's like, oh, I really hope. Well, I made the mistake of saying, so 2 of the episodes I did about standardized patient work, I talked to this Katie who does it in Washington, D.C., and I do it here in Scranton. And I thought he'd find them humorous or entertaining, like learn. I'm like, I think you'll enjoy these. He's like, well, you said I'd really enjoy them. So I want to make sure that I can really listen and pay attention. I'm like, oh, I go, maybe I oversold them. I don't know. I'm like, you don't have to pay attention, like hang on every word, but yeah. So Oliver loves you, and like I said, he was listening every week, and now he's a couple weeks behind. So I'm like, I miss the days when you listened every week when it was published.
Oh my,
Isn't
we
it
should do a
bad that we
funny
need
wine girl
validation?
retreat. You, me, and Oliver, and go to the beach. Go to Jersey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. I'm glad you said that because what inspired him to say this? I can't remember. I think it was just one of our episodes, conversations we had, where he said he wants to go to Pittsburgh next summer and he wants to go to, oh, because you mentioned what is the amusement park?
Kennywood.
Yes. You were talking about that. And he goes, and he loves roller coasters. I do not, but he does. And he's like, you know what? Life's short. I think we need to go to Pittsburgh. And he mentioned that. So,
Oh my God. If you're coming, you're getting a show here. You're Janine's headlining Pittsburgh because I said that to Paul. I'm like, I really want to get Janine out to Pittsburgh. Maybe I can get the two of you. We could do a Scranton hits Pittsburgh show or something.
That would be fun. That would be
Yeah.
fun. So yeah,
People
so
would
he
love
wants
you,
to go.
Janine. I have
Oh,
a really like the people who come to my shows are smart. Like they're smart. They would love you. They would love you here.
thank you. Thank you very much. Well, if we do come out, I would love to perform. But he did say that because you talked about Kennywood and he's like, I think we should plan a trip because life is short and I love roller coasters and we
Oh
should get out
my,
there. I'm like, I'm down for it. I'm totally down for it.
that would be so fun. And Josh and I like our most famous song is about Kennywood. It's about a roller coaster at Kennywood.
Well, there we go. And
Yeah.
now, see, I would probably, he's like, oh, I'll get you on. I'm like, no, I'll probably hold the purses. I'll stand and hold the bags or something.
There's a lot of good food there we can eat, and then there's a lot of other stuff we can do. Play games. Yeah.
I'll get on the Ferris wheel. When I was a kid, I would do like the scrambler and the tilt-a-whirl, but I was never a roller coaster fan. I have done a few. Like when I went to Vegas, I did the one at New York, New York, and I've done a couple, but they're just scare the shit out of me. I really, my heart is ready to stop. I just can't.
I can't do the spinny ones. They make me, I get really sick my whole life.
Yeah. Well, the scrambler I would do, and I think the tilt-a-whirl, honestly, on my seventh grade retreat, I actually did, I think, upchuck in the one they had to get the hose out, so that was embarrassing. And like the drop ones, I did do that one in Disney, the Tower of Terror, where they
Yeah.
drop you. But again, it scared the crap out of me. I did it, but it's not something like roller coaster. I just can't. So anyway, you guys can enjoy, he can enjoy,
Okay.
you can enjoy, and I will like, sit on the bench and look up and go, hey kids, I'm waiting for you.
Oh my God. It'll be a blast. It has to happen.
Is there skee ball there?
Yes. And
Okay.
you can win tickets.
Okay. That's what I did when I was on the boardwalk for my birthday weekend too. And I gave my tickets to some little kid. Now that was progress because I usually like to trade them in for some kind of cheap crap I don't need, but I gave them away. But I love skee ball. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. All right. We're gonna make
All right.
this happen. All right. So
Awesome.
Oliver, whenever you listen to this, man,
Yeah, it's a trip. It's happening.
it's happening. So you mentioned it and I'm following up. So get ready. All right. Well, thank you so much, Gab. Now I have to find where's the button because they move things around on Zoom. Okay. So for my listeners, thank you so much for listening. Please check out in the show notes the links that I've shared about Gab. Learn a little bit more about Gab and listen to her comedy. Check it out. Get some laughs because we all need more laughter. As you know, if you've ever listened to me before, you know that I love to promote laughter. I won't even tell you some plugs of what's coming up in the weeks to come. I should have a scary story that I am going to continue from last year. I just have to finish writing it. Well, finish. It's never really going to be finished. I have to add more to it. And we're going to have Emily. Emily's going to be a guest in a couple weeks, and she is someone who is very knowledgeable in finance and financial planning. So we're going to talk about tips because I'm horrible, I know, with my money. And we're going to talk about tips, especially as we enter the holidays, so you don't overspend or planning for the new year, things like that. And beyond that, I got to say, I don't really have a lot planned, but I will do my best to bring you some of the most fabulous women with information to share, inspiration, and entertainment. And check out the show notes if you want to support this podcast, my Buy Me a Coffee page if you want to make a donation. I keep saying donation and I should stop because it's not charitable, but it's an investment, let's say. And otherwise, the other thing I would share is that anything that you can do to help support this podcast otherwise would be to share it on your social media, write a testimonial, tell somebody about it, tell a friend, tell a foe, tell anyone you know. And as I always say, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.